What is going on to all my Barry fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again, breaking down this third season of Barry, episode 2, titled Limonada, which is Spanish for lemonade. In this episode, we literally see Barry forcing his love on Jean. But speaking of love, can Sally get some proper love from Barry, or are they going to break up anytime soon? And speaking of breaking up, Cristobal and Hank, we'll be discussing that and so much more in today's spoiler review. But before we get into the discussion, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel and love early movie reviews, TV breakdowns, and live streams, well, come and join the community today by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. And as you all can see on the screen now, if you enjoy what I had to say about this third season of Barry, episode 2, well, make sure you all are liking this review as well as sharing it. But speaking of sharing, go ahead and share your thoughts in the comments, your pros, your cons, favorite moments, least favorite moments, and of course your thoughts and theories of what you all hope to see in the weeks ahead. Before we get into this discussion though, I want to take the time to thank you all. You're so awesome. Last week I asked the community, what should we call the name of ourselves? So I'm going to be reviewing this every Sunday, and I got so many great comments. I'm going to read off a couple. We have some for, like, example, the Barrymore, the Holly Berries, the Berries. We have Barry Bond, Barry's Buddies. We have a lot of blockheads came through, which I love those names. Member Berries, Barry's Disciples, just to name a few. You all are hilarious. You all are great. And listen, this is the name we're going to go with. I don't have one because I'm going to put that pressure on you all. I couldn't pick one. They were so great. So I'm going to have you all re-enter those names in the comments below. Whoever gets the most likes, that's the name we're going with. Let's have some fun in the comments. But hey, we got a lot to break down. Full spoilers ahead. Let's get into it as we open the episode with seeing that Barry yet still has Jean in his trunk. At least Barry's a nice enough guy to get Jean some food from a burger place, but he's not nice enough to pay for the food because that was Jean that paid for it. We're going to be talking about the moral compass that is completely broken and also his mind. Barry, you need some help, my friend. But getting back to the conversation, we learned that Barry's genius idea is to have Jean be a part of Sally's show just where he can get over. This is a great way to help him, get over Janice's death. What is going on with Barry? Who gave him that idea? It is a terrible idea. He brings this idea to Sally, who is not really on board with this. She claims that she came up with a similar idea, but she just wasn't able to get the producers on board. I don't know if she really did that, but that doesn't matter because, listen, get the bells going off. The alarms are going off. We have a Barry bomb coming right now as he snaps in front of everybody, forcing Sally to do it because he won't live if he can't make this happen. And at first, I'm thinking to myself, this ain't real. Barry's not doing this in front of everyone because we've seen this in shows and movies where we've seen it in Barry before. We see our character in their head. This is how they want to react to something, but they don't do it. Barry did this. He's embarrassing himself right now in front of everyone. And we see Sally, and I kind of feel so bad for Sally. Last week, she was kind of being rude to her friend from the casting acting class when she was like making her make a sandwich and all that. But I still feel for Sally based on what we learned last season with her relationship with Sam. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I was getting very Sam vibes in this scene because she was kind of, playing coy, laughing it off. And then we see her later on like kissing up to Barry. Like, it's not your fault. Barry was being an asshole. So I think this is the beginnings of what I mentioned last week. Will we see Sally and Barry make it to the end of the season? I hope not, especially the way Barry's treating her. Let me know what you all thought about that opening scene. As we get back into the conversation, let's focus on Cristobal here for a second as his friends from Bolivia have arrived, led by Fernando. And after having Hank, he wants Hank to come over. He learns that Fernando has brought his elite assassins to take out the rest of Hank's crew. Little does he know, most of the crew is eliminated, but it's blood for blood, which getting back into the conversation with Cristobal, the Bolivians head over to Hank's greenhouse. They shoot up the place only to learn that no one's there, thanks to the messages and the warnings from Cristobal. And this is where we kind of get into the heartbreak going on here. Cristobal wants Hank to run from this elite assassins, but in him wanting him to run, unfortunately, this relationship, for now at least, has been broken up. Cristobal wants to keep Hank safe, and he wants to end things, and he wants Hank to be safe. And then I got a really big light bulb that came up in my head. You know what's going to happen with this plot? I might be wrong, but I think I might be right. We all remember last week when Barry came to Hank's house begging to get a hit job. Well, I think he just found his job. I bet you we're going to see Noho Hank go to Barry. Hey, Betty, I have a job for you. He's going to want Barry to kill off this elite assassins. I could be completely wrong, but again, I don't know. I think Hank is madly in love with Cristobal and wants to be with him, so he's going to get the best assassin that he knows to take out these elite assassins. Let me know what you all think about that. But let's check back in with Barry and Sally as he has a plan B. Barry heads over to Jay Roach, which we know is a real-time director who made a cameo in last year's season finale, or season 2's season finale, and we know that Barry dissed him. He kind of dismissed the whole process because of obviously what happened with Fuchs taking on Gene, and we all know that stuff there, but he finds out, which I thought was so funny. He's been replaced in Jay Roach's film by Adam Devine and Josh Gad, who they say are not funny. I think it's probably like an inside joke. I don't think they were taking a dig at those two actors, which I think they're funny. I'm a big Workaholics fan. I'm a big fan of that show, but let's get back into the conversation. Of course, Barry gets another role just dropped right in his lap after failing of this plan B because the producers, as we learned this episode, Gene doesn't have the best reputation when it comes to auditions, but back into it, very interesting moment here. We see that Elsie's Fisher's character is going around asking, hey, can there something be done with the behavior that we just saw from Sally's boyfriend Barry? And unfortunately, I think this kind of speaks to a larger issue with Hollywood and just physical abuse, verbal abuse. They're like, there's really nothing we can do. And I bet you this plot's going to lead to Elsie's Fisher's character is going to probably try to keep Sally safe and like look out for her, sneaking around, seeing what Barry's up to. And I bet you she's going to see something that she doesn't need to see involving Barry doing a hit. And he's going to maybe have to kill her. Might be a bit of a stretch there, but again, I don't want to ignore the fact that that is really messed up, that there's nothing that can be done. Again, I know they asked her, did he hit her? Did he throw something at her? It was just more yelling, but I mean, that's signs of like abuse. Now we know Barry probably, I don't know, because Barry right now is crazy. I don't know if he'll physically hurt, Sally, and we know how Sally kind of has had previous abusive relationship with Sam, so we'll see what's going on with that plot. I'm not a fan of Barry's behavior right now in front of Sally, but let me know what you all think will come of Elsie Fisher's character. Back into catching up with Barry, who's completely lost his mind. Barry wants to keep Gene his hostage, but he also wants Gene to help him with his audition. Like, what? He's completely checked out. Who in his right mind would think that you just kidnap someone and you want their help? Someone get Barry some help, please. ASAP. Gene tells him he tries to be a good actor because he tells Barry he's a good guy. He understands his pain. He understands that he wants to help him with his recent behavior. And we see Barry have a nice sentiment moment like, I love you, Gene. And this is where I'm thinking that Barry might, either let him go or try to find something that's a little bit more sensible in getting this situation figured out. Nope. Barry just goes right back to reading his lines like, this guy is completely clueless and can't seem to read a room. Speaking of reading a room, we see Barry heads back to his audition and pours his heart out to the producers. He inevitably gets Gene to be an extra in this film. And we keep hearing these stories about Gene, by the way, which he is not the best person to audition with. Like, again, and that's another theme. We talked about last week, forgiveness. There are the dualities of these characters, right? All of our characters have another side to them. We know that with Barry, with Sally, and of course with Gene. So they're trying to, in Barry's sick mind, everyone deserves a second chance, including Gene and himself. Again, Barry, there are some screws loose in your head, my friend. Back into Sally, who learns that her show needs to be bumped up because there's a competition, another show with a very similar premise, which I thought was funny. That screenshot of the other person, I believe the name of the show was Pam, which reminded me of The Office. But that actress, she's a comedian. I don't follow her on Instagram, but I've seen some of her posts. She's actually pretty funny. I think her name is Caitlin Riley, if I'm not mistaken. I wonder if she's going to make an appearance and if she's going to be like this competition that we physically see in the show with Sally. Let me know what you all think about that. But getting back into, let's have this conversation because we see the behavior by Barry and we see how Barry was treating Sally in this episode. But this is why I said I feel like Sally's going back to how she felt being around Sam. She did nothing wrong in that conversation earlier in the episode, but yet she's getting Barry his some dinner, some spaghetti, I think she mentioned. She buys him a new controller that we know was broken in last week. She's doing all the things like she was in the wrong. But no, Sally, you did nothing wrong. It was all Barry's fault, as he calls her and says, I got the gig. Doesn't apologize. She apologized to him and he accepts her apology. And then she's even still trying to have a conversation and he's like being short with her. Sally, get out of this relationship. You already experienced it with Sam. And again, I know we're Barry fans here, but she needs to find love elsewhere, or Barry needs to get his stuff together, because right now he's looking like a complete asshole. Again, I'm a Barry fan, but I'm not a fan of this behavior. And also, I mean, he is a killer. We can't forget that. But let me know what you all think about all that. But wrapping up the episode here, we see that after, and this is perfect Barry going on, while Barry's on the phone with her, Gene escapes. He goes over to this backyard where this woman has a bunch of dogs. He gets attacked by the dog. He comes across this person who's on her lunch break. He asks for an Uber, or not an Uber. He asks for an internet taxi. And this is, again, perfect Barry. We see that she's like, oh, the car is here. It's actually Barry who's chasing down Gene, only to get hit by, I assume that was the internet taxi that was called for Gene. He hits the taxi, Uber, and we see Gene running down the alley with his newfound four-legged friend. He goes back home. He's telling his son Leo to call the cops, but as he's doing that, guess who's there? It is the one and only crazy-ass Barry sitting on the couch with his hand on Gene's grandson's shoulders like, Barry, oh my goodness, you are evil. The question all last season was, is Barry evil? I think we have the answers, ladies and gentlemen, in this very scene, as we see Barry, again, can't read a room. He tells Gene, I got you the role, which Gene was pretty surprised, and he says, I love you, Gene. I want you to say it back. Can you say it back again? Forcing his love, because we all know, speaking to the character, he hasn't been loved. Fuchs does not show him love. We know that Barry is loveless, so it kind of makes sense why he's trying to force this love, because this is the only like male figure that we know of in Barry's life that's shown him actually genuine care for him. But again, the way he's showing it back is completely toxic, as we know. We see Gene, muffles to him, I love you, Barry, and he tells him, hey, be happy, take the second chance, or else, and this is my evil comment to Barry, I'm going to kill your son and your grandson. Ooh, that is some evil stuff there. Again, Barry, I don't know what we're going to do with him this season. I don't know what it's going to take for Barry to get, I don't know if there's any more human left in Barry. I'll be honest with you all. I really don't know what the show is going to do with the character, because right now he is so in the red, so in the clueless, so like completely checked out. What is it going to take to get Barry to be redeemable, if he is at all redeemable? But also, let me know your thoughts on my theory about the Bolivians being the next hit job that Hank's going to give Barry. Do you all think that? And what do you think will happen with Barry and his relationship with not only Gene, but also Sally? And should Sally leave Barry? Let's talk about that in the comments. I really enjoyed this episode. The performances are always on point. I love how we can go from 0 to 100 so quick. Really had a good time with this episode, and I can't wait to talk about episode 3 with you all in the next week's breakdown. If you stuck around to this point in the review, I can't thank you enough. Again, let's come up with a name. Whoever gets the most likes in the comments, that's the name we're going to be going with. But speaking of comments, before you all leave, make sure you like the review, share the review. Again, leave your thoughts in the comment section, your theories, and everything in between. Thank you again for the support. Hope you all are staying safe. Hope you enjoyed tonight's discussion. As you can see on the screen now, come and join the community. Check out my other content, my other reviews. We'll catch you all on the next breakdown.